Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. If you're the wife of an alcoholic and you struggle with triggers, overthinking, or emotional exhaustion, I have a free resource just for you. I created my Turning Point Toolkit for the moments when everything feels like it's going sideways. When a comment or a look or even a broken promise sends your nervous system into overdrive and you're just trying not to spiral. This free toolkit gives you simple, private tools to help your body settle, quiet overthinking, detach without guilt, and break out of the exhausting patterns that keep you stuck and resentful, all while staying rooted in your faith. It's not about fixing everything or having the perfect response. It's about calming your nervous system so you can take faithful, grounded action in the moment. You don't have to wait until things fall apart to get support. You can get instant access to the Turning Point Toolkit right now at turningpointtoolkit.com. Go grab yours today so you can finally have something to reach for when triggers hit. Hello, and welcome to episode 123 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Before we get started today, and before I forget, I wanted to let you know that I have moved my blog to a new domain, and the site is all new and pretty. So I would love for you to go check it out. You can now find my blog at marriedtoaddictionblog.com. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is called How to Navigate Bedtime When You Share a Room with a Drinker. So obviously we're going to be talking about one of the most vulnerable and often overlooked parts of this journey as the wife of an alcoholic, and that is, of course, bedtime. So specifically, what it's like when you're sharing a room with someone who is drinking or has been drinking during the day. Because if you are living this, you already know, and I remember very vividly, that this time of day can feel incredibly triggering. So the house gets quiet, the distractions of the day are gone, and what is left is you, your thoughts, and often his drinking or the remnants of his drinking. And if I can just say this right away, if bedtime feels heavy for you, if you feel anxious, restless, or even feeling a little bit trapped at night, there's nothing wrong with you. That is very real, and it's a very difficult part of living in this environment with somebody who's in addiction. So today I want to walk you through how to protect your sleep and, more importantly, your peace, even if the situation itself hasn't changed. Because if you can protect your peace, then your sleep will follow. So let's start by naming what's actually happening here. So evenings are often when drinking escalates, and by bedtime, a few things are usually true. So you're already tired from the day, your emotional reserves are low, your nervous system is more sensitive because of that, and you are about to enter a space that should feel safe and restful, but doesn't always. So when you're laying in bed next to somebody who has been drinking, your body can feel on edge, and you might notice that you can't fully relax, or you're listening for every movement or sound, or your mind is racing, or you're bracing for what might happen next. And one of the hardest parts of this is you kind of feel stuck. It can feel like there's no escape from this environment because this is your room. This is where you're supposed to be able to rest. And instead of rest, your body is staying in a low level or even sometimes a high level of alert. And over time, that really takes a toll. Now, while you might not be able to control whether or not he drinks, of course, you can begin to create small pockets of control within your environment. And that actually matters more than you might think. So I want to talk about 3 simple ways that you can begin to reclaim some of that space. So the first is to create a consistent bedtime routine for yourself. This is about anchoring your body to something predictable, because when everything else feels uncertain, your routine can then become something that your nervous system can rely on. So this might look like dimming the lights at a certain time, or changing into comfortable clothes or your PJs, doing something calming before bed, maybe having some tea, reading a book that you love, a devotional. Creating a sense of transition into rest is what we're looking for here. And the goal isn't perfection. It's just to give your body the message, even if things around me feel unsettled, I can still create a sense of calm for myself. And over time, this consistency can help your body begin to relax more easily at night. That's super important. The second thing you can do is try to soften the environment around you. So, when your environment feels chaotic, your nervous system, of course, responds to that. So, even small adjustments can make a difference. So, things like using earplugs or playing calming sounds or white noise. I actually have, it's like a headband that I put on that has um, earbuds in the headband. They're soft and cushioned, so you can lay against them, and you can actually it's twofold, right? So you're covering your ears, and you can also play like white noise or some calming sounds or music in them as well. So those are great for times like this. You can also, of course, just listen to something soothing through your headphones before you lay down, too. Now, this whole process isn't about trying to ignore reality. It's about trying to reduce the intensity of what your body is taking in around you or what your body is focusing on. And sometimes just softening that sensory input can totally help your body feel a little bit safer and calmer. The third is to give yourself permission to have a backup plan. This one can be emotional for a lot of women because it can feel like I shouldn't have to leave my own bed. And you're right, you shouldn't have to. But here's the reframe that I want you to hold on to. This is not about being pushed out. This is about choosing peace for yourself. Having an optional backup space, so a couch, a guest room, even a comfortable setup, somewhere else, gives you agency. It gives you a way to say, if this environment becomes too much or feels like too much, I have another place to go. And sometimes just knowing that you have that option can really reduce that feeling of being trapped. So, bedtime can also bring moments where something is said or where you feel pulled into interaction. A lot of times when somebody's been drinking, they're kind of in quote unquote party mode and they just want to keep drinking and want to stay up, and you might be so over it at that point. So, having some simple prepared responses in moments like that can really help you stay grounded. So, saying something like, I'm going to sleep now, or I'm not up for talking tonight, or we can talk about this tomorrow. Just something short, calm, and clear. You don't need to explain or defend your need for rest. Protecting your sleep is not selfish, it is necessary. So, I want to finally speak to something really important here. If you find yourself needing earplugs, or choosing a different place to sleep, or creating distance at night, it's very easy for your mind to start to go, this isn't fair. Why do I have to do this? I'm being punished. And I totally understand that feeling because I used to feel that way too, but I want to gently offer you a different way to see it. Again, this is not punishment. This is self-care. You are choosing for yourself self-care. This is you responding to a hard situation with wisdom. This is you saying, I matter too. My rest matters. My peace matters. So don't think of it as giving something up. Think of it as taking something back instead. If bedtime is one of the hardest parts of your day, you are not alone. As I said, I totally dealt with this. I remember even just laying in the same bed with him and just being able to smell the alcohol would just start my mind into this spiral, and I would just lose so much sleep, and it just was not worth it. Looking back, I really wish that I had handled that differently. But these are those kinds of scenarios that we deal with, these day in and day out scenarios. So I wanted to remind you that inside of the Secret Sister Circle, which is my coaching program, we talk about these real everyday situations all the time. So the moments that don't always get talked about, but that deeply affect your well-being. So that's things like how to protect your peace at night, right? Like we just talked about, how to support your nervous system. That is so huge, ladies. I really can't tell you how important that is. I can't overemphasize that, because if you are trying to put into practice all of these things we talk about, but your nervous system is just screaming at high alert, and you don't really have some good, solid, effective tools and ways to bring that down before you try to do all of this stuff, it's an exercise in futility. So that is just so important. We also talk about just, small rhythms that can help you feel steadier overall. And what I see over and over again is that when women begin to make even small shifts in how they're caring for themselves, everything around them starts to feel a little more manageable. So, of course, it doesn't feel perfect, but it feels so much steadier. And that makes such a huge difference. So, if you're tired of trying to kind of piece together different tips or suggestions, maybe you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you have implemented some things, but things still feel really chaotic, and you would like a solid, clear plan to help you navigate the daily struggles of being the wife of an alcoholic, then I would love for you to join us in the SSC, the Secret Sister Circle. And right now, you can get your first 7 days absolutely free. So you just have to go to secretsisterscircle.com to take advantage of that offer. We would love to welcome you in. So tonight, as you head toward bedtime, I want you to remember this. You deserve rest, you deserve peace, and you are allowed to create both, even in the middle of a hard situation. You don't have to force yourself to endure discomfort just because it's familiar or just because you don't feel like you should, quote unquote, have to. You can instead make small, gentle choices that support you. And those choices really do matter a lot more than you think. So until next time, take good care of you, and that includes getting the rest you need. See you next time. Quick question for you before I let you go today. Have you been to the Married to Addiction website? If you haven't, I would love if you would go pay it a visit. It's just marriedtoaddiction.com. And over there, you can see just a lot of different information about my podcast. There is a blog on there. There's some free resources for you. And there's also a few ways that you can actually get some help if you need a little more help and direction and support as you travel this difficult path with your addicted husband. So if you haven't yet, please go visit marriedtoaddiction.com. Thanks so much.